Hello students, good morning, good afternoon and good evening according to the time you are watching this video. And students, we are going to continue with the chapter agriculture in India. Uh, so in the previous videos we have discussed few important or the major crops of our country. Today we are going to continue with the discussion of the few crops. And before we proceed to the video, please subscribe my channel, do hit the bell icon and don't forget to like the video. So the crop which we are going to discuss today, students, is jute, which is a very important fiber crop of our country. And why it is important is because it is cheap, it is strong, it is durable, and the fiber which we obtain from the stem is quite of uniform size. Jute is a kharif crop, okay, and India is the second largest producer of this crop after Bangladesh. And it is also termed as golden fiber because of its color, and it is also termed as a brown bag or brown paper bag in the wholesale trade. Okay, so the geographical requirements of the crop, let us discuss that. The temperature, 25 to 35 degrees Celsius of temperature. The ideal temperature, the mean temperature should be 27 degree Celsius. Rainfall requirement is also quite high, 150 centimeter to 200 centimeter of rainfall is required, and uniformly distributed throughout the year. Humidity content, nearly about 80 to 90% of humidity content should be there, and the soil is the Qatar variety of alluvial soil is very suitable for the growth of jute. Now, the method of cultivation of jute is your transplantation method. Okay, means first seeds are grown in the nursery beds, and after that it is again transplanted into the field. So the sowing period is the kharif, since it is a kharif crop. So the sowing period will be the summer months, March to May, and harvesting time, it will be 2 to 3 meter tall. Okay, and harvesting time will be generally the month of July, and July to September, or August September, it will be the harvesting season of jute. Now immediately after the harvest, okay, we cannot use it. There is a processing also in between. So how it is processed, let us discuss that. So first, after the harvest, it is left in the field to dry, to get dried up. Okay, and for a couple of days, like 3 4 5 days, it is kept in the left in the field, and after that it is piled and bundled up, and it is completely drenched into the water. Okay, or completely under the water. It is kept for a couple of weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks it is kept under the water. Now that process is known as rating process. Now after the rating process is over, it is again taken out. Now why it is kept under the water is in order to soak the steam completely into the water, so that it will become soft, and it will become easier for the laborers or for the farmers to separate the fiber from the jute. Okay, now after the separation, again the jute is, or the fiber is, washed properly and resined properly, and after that it is again left in the sun for a couple of days to dry it up completely, and in the process those jute will obtain a yellow color, which also gives us the name golden fiber. And there are the various uses of your jute also, like it is used in making gunny bags, the sacks, okay, carpets, then also the you can say the floor mat or the door mat also. Okay, as well as nowadays it is also utilized in making many decorative items also. Okay, upholstery, which we say. So those are also made from the jute. However, the popularity of the jute has become quite low in the market is because of the substitutes like mesta, which is an inferior quality of jute, and another one is the synthetic fiber when it has come into the market, like plastic fibers or the rayon, nylon and all. Okay, it has lowered down the importance or the value of jute. Okay, because those synthetic fibers are quite cheaper and more durable than the jute, so people are preferring more those cheaper qualities. But we should remember, jute is an organic product. Okay, it is not going to harm the environment. So students, the next crop we are going to discuss is tea, and tea is a very important cash crops to India. India is the largest producer, consumer and exporter of tea, and since it is the largest exporter, so that means it is the tea earns a huge amount of foreign exchange to India. Not only that, it also helps in the generation of huge amount of employment facilities also, so which makes this tea crop a very important crop. Okay, very important, the major crop of our country. So whereas tea is not the native crop of our country, it was brought to India by the Britishers from China. So let us discuss the geographical requirements for tea. The temperature is 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. Rainfall 150 to 300 centimeter of rainfall, equally distributed well throughout the year. The soil condition, light loamy soil, but the subsoil it should be porous. Okay, because the tea bushes will not be able to withstand with the collection of water. The stagnation of water is harmful for the tea, as well as also the long dry spells are again very harmful for the tea plant also. Okay, so the high altitudes are much more preferred for the cultivation of tea because of the slopy area. The stagnation of water generally doesn't take place. Okay, so the height nearly about altitude of 900 to 2000 meter of height is quite prefer for the cultivation of tea. Okay, now the method of cultivation is different methods are there. One is a transplantation method is also there, and another one is the clonal planting also. We'll discuss that in the later stage. Okay, now after that, the harvesting means the plucking of the tea leaves. When it is done, okay, so there are different process in between again in order to derive the finished good. Okay, so the raw material is that a small bud and the tea leaves, okay, which is the tender leaves also we call. So those leaves, first what it is done is the process is the withering process. So in the withering process, those tea leaves are piled up in a rack or in a bamboo rack and all. Okay, then it is passed through the hot air, okay, in order to release the moisture which is present in the tea leaves. Now after that, the another process is the rolling process. Now in the rolling process, that tea leaves which is kept in that rack, okay, it is passed through a rolling machine, so that the leaves will pass through in between the two rolling machines, and when it pass through, it will be crushed. Now why it is crushed is again the juice which is present in the veins or in the leaves. Okay, it will be sprayed all over the leaves. It will spread properly, and when it sprayed properly, then the oxidation process will begin. After that, again another process is followed, that is the fermentation. Now in fermentation process, that rolled leaves, okay, are kept on a special tray under the controlled temperature. Okay, again the controlled temperature, why? Because the leads to the oxidation process much more faster, and the color of the leaves will start changing. Okay, so that process is known as fermentation. So the next process is the drying. Now after the process of fermentation, the next process is drying, and in the drying process, the fermented tea leaves are kept under the hot oven of a temperature of nearly about 75 degrees Celsius. Okay, so when it is kept into that, the color will become very rich. The dark coppery red will start turning into the dark brown color, or dark black color also. Okay, so it will start turning red. So that through that we derive the tea leaves. Next is the sorting. Now after that, separating process of the tea leaves in the various grades based on their quality is done. And now after the blending, now blending, the each factory or the each tea planters, they have their own flavors also, so they will add those flavors into the tea, like the tulsi tree is there nowadays, isn't? So that means mixing like tulsi plant along with it, so that it will give the flavor of tulsi also. Okay, now after that, the grading is also done. The tea is also processed again the grade basis. There is a tester in every tea plant, the factory. Okay, he will test the tea, and after that the grading of those teas are done, the leaves are also done, then finally it is packed, and that process is known as packaging. Okay, so few of the terms are there, like related with the tea. One is the types of tea, that is the black tea, green tea, and the oolong tea. Now oolong tea is quite not popular in India, but in China and Japan it is very popular. And next is the clonal planting. Now clonal planting, uh, the cuttings are taken from the high yielding tea bushes, and the same cuttings are again planted in the main field. Okay, so next is this way of cultivation is known as clonal planting. Next is the transplantation method. As I already said, seedlings are germinated in the nursery beds, and again it is transplanted into the main field. Next is the pruning. Pruning means the removal of the central leader stem for horizontal splitting of the plant. Means the main central stem will be taken out. Okay, so that the tea plant, instead of growing vertically, it will spread in a horizontal manner. And again, another thing it is there, while planting those tea bushes, okay, 1 meter of distance it is kept in between the two tea plants, okay, so that it can grow properly. So if the pruning it is not done, and the cutting the tea bushes are not regularly cut, then it will not remain a bush. It will grow up to the height of 10 meters also, can grow up to height of 10 meters also. Okay, so next is your shelter beds. Now shelter beds means the shady trees has to be grown in between the tea plant, because the tea again cannot withstand with the direct rays of the sun also, so that is called shelter beds. Okay, next is the fine plucking. The bud and the 3 or more leaves are plucked, that is called fine plucking. Okay, and another one is your coarse plucking. Now in coarse plucking, not only the two tender leaves are taken, but the 2 3/4 leaves which is just below the tender leaves, that is also plucked together. Okay, but the thing is that the tender leaves, the taste what we get from the tender leaves is much more tastier, okay, than compared to the chorus blocking or the other mature leaves of the tea plants. Okay, so the Kolkata is the largest tea exporting port in the world because of its proximity to Darjeeling and Assam, and where the tea is grown extensively, and it is well connected to the various modes of transport such as road, railway, and water. Similarly, Kochi is also an exporting port in the south. Okay, because Kerala is also quite famous for its tea cultivation, and the Darjeeling tea is why it is very popular in the international market is because of its taste. Okay, the flavor. Now the flavor is quite good is because of the weather condition over there. As I said, the early morning fog, okay, it's very favorable for the growth of tea, and which we find in the hill slopes of Darjeeling. So students, with this we will end our today's video. The video also has become quite long, so I don't want to bore you with my lectures. The remaining two crops are there, that is the coffee and sugarcane. We will discuss in the next video. So thank you for watching.